I just want to take a macro look at that particular issue, and not so much hyper-focus on what the president did, but more how he did it. So many people have said, well, after he gets in office, perhaps the tweeting will slow or stop. And then a few months in, there was a brief respite. People thought maybe the tone had changed somehow behind closed doors, or that he had decided to maybe curb that practice a little bit. He's certainly been back at it with Jeff Sessions, with the announcement today regarding transgender policy. How do you feel about that? Is that ever going to stop, or does it need to? I mean, a lot of people would say that he's feeding right into his base. He's giving them the red meat he likes. That's how he got elected. Why should he curb his behavior?
It's unpresidential. This policy by tweeting is unpresidential. And this particular issue here, let's focus on this issue because this is a very important issue. I mean, we have evolved as far as who serves in the military. We've allowed people who are gay and lesbian and whatever serve in the military, because if you're ready, willing, and able, and you're physically capable and desirous of serving this country in this capacity, we should be honored to allow you to do that. And for the president to have said what he said in that tweet, A, is insensitive, E, is another illustration of his sort of ignorance and his anti-anybody that's just not like him. But C, it is not grounded in any evidence-based. It is just what he thinks at the moment. Now, I think he needs to have some kind of therapy. You know, when you get hooked on something and you need to have therapy to get you out of it, to whether or not it's detoxing you, he needs to be de-Twitterized. Perhaps we can desensitize him to that, but I don't know. He just does very unpresidential things, and it just concerns me because I love this country and I respect the office of the president.
Well, I was in the military. And when I went in the military, I was asked to meet physical standards and other types of standards as to whether I should serve. The military is entitled to make those kinds of decisions as to what's in the best interest of readiness and preparedness. The military is not a social services organization. It is not a welfare organization. The military is a military organization to protect the United States of America. The commander-in-chief and the military people are able to make a decision. And unlike I want to disagree with Congresswoman a little bit. This is not about gays and lesbians or any of that kind of thing. This is about people wanting to have surgeries in order to change their bodies in order to do something entirely different. And that is a distraction in the eyes of the commander-in-chief and the military. And this narrow decision, I think, is one that they can legitimately make to protect the nation, the readiness of the nation.
I disagree with the process and how the president did it. It shouldn't have gone through Twitter. And I will not take a position one way or the other whether it was right or wrong. I want to make these couple of points. And I served for 35 years in the military, oftentimes in close quarters. The reality is the majority of people in today's military are ages 17 to 24, most of them single, raging hormones, and things that young people are all part of. And the reality is, when it involves issues of sex, it often creates problems. That's not to say we shouldn't address these problems, but it's just a reality. That's the way young people behave. My peers today are now 3 and 4 stars in the Navy Marine Corps, so that gives you a sense of how long I served. And those are the issues to deal with today. And that's when they talk about the ability of the military and to serve properly, to I'm losing track.
Well, we saw that lieutenant commander, whatever his title was. He's pretty high up in the service. There's no discussion about his inability to serve in the capacity that he has.
And that's not the point I make.
Well,
but when it comes to the ability to work together in close quarters.
For the president to say, for the president to say that there's no place for the transgender in the military, that's exactly what he's talking about. And with regard to young people, then we need to teach them to be respectful. No one chooses to be in the wrong body.
Do you think
let's not act like that's a choice. I just happen to want to be a man one day, so I'm going to go off and get
the simple point I wanted to make is it is an issue fraught with difficulties when you have young, impressionable people. And let's say, for sake of argument, you're correct.
The president made this an issue. Where did it come from? It came from the cloud. It came from the cloud, so he could have another distraction to get away from his incompetence as a president.
Well, we're talking about 250 people service-wide, 250 people. And the question is, do you make a rule that stands for the hundreds of thousands, even millions of service people that have got to carry out their duties across the entire world?
He didn't have to do anything.
So the question is, what is really appropriate in this particular case? And with respect to the military, they're entitled to make a decision about what works best in order for preparedness.
But the military didn't make any decisions,
and I want to say this. I want to say this.
The president made this decision
as commander-in-chief. The main thing, which I hope we all agree, is under the Constitution, he is the commander-in-chief. But the point I want to make is this. Transgender people can live fine anywhere they want to, and they can do anything they want to, and they can finance their medical care or their changes or whatever things they need to do in order to become healthy within their own lights. But it doesn't mean that the military has to accept that as some sort of social engineering type of idea.
So there was a time when the military said that I couldn't serve because I was a woman in certain capacities. And there's a certain time when the military was discriminatory against black folks. With all due respect, Governor, this is 2017, and we need to be beyond this sort of phobia on any level. And if an individual is ready, willing, and able, and physically able to do the service, then that should be the measuring stick.
All right, let me stop.